The only people they allow here are sides as collusion/s, even if they can't see it. By the proofs they're acting, they can discern it to an extent. They are an array being used criminally for enables tactical illusions draw at countries A through Z. Our campuses are breached. And the exceptions, all locations/s. The suburbs were designed to cause negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures. And with the slavery entrenched northern colonies and southern colonies, rolls with that, and then America's founders were born. And they had to classify for themselves why and how they did not have free speech. There was a breaching method entrenched. There were internationally monitored conversations involved with it. These people are nuts at the campuses A through Z. Get them on paper, one name and sequence. These people are a collusion too. They change and fake what people say. Get me off the fake conversation with WFSB too. They have a bunch of people with the religious spots, a bunch of nutbags with proven child abusers leaders, first force. They have some medical and they have religious spots too involved with it further. Their own people's religions and others, they're using it, use of it. This guy speaking about authority and titles. Get them out paper, one name and sequence. Get them off the fake conversation with WFSB. Whole bunch of people tied to a Scalor family and her boyfriends. Per the intelligence, they're involved with WFSB and the spots next to them, with these interreligious nutbags too, with the World Trade Center attack too, predicate acts. Get me off the fake conversation with WFSB and about the World Trade Center attack, and while they were forcing a principal child abuser, and while they fake ties to me, fake nature ties to me with other people, and while they changed and fake conversations with me and changed conversations with me with my own family too. And they changed what others like me, who was in the court next to the World Trade Center towers right before the attack. They just totally faked conversations with me about that. And they changed what other people said about that and lied about the outcome of relative legal cases tied to the people who were in the context interstates as collusions. And before it took this planned long term, this is constantly, that place has never stopped being used criminally for enables tactical illusions raw. The World Trade Center. The differences of the guilt there or next to it. It's that place. It's that way with all locations because you have to have collusion/s. And the /s part, the breaching method measures and maintains. Those kind of things are blamed. Other things, others ourselves are blamed rather than the breaching method itself. In fact, the breaching method is replaced right from the communications of our founders. But you have people speaking for and have been spoken for our founders already anyway. We could use that as hyper evidential. The hyper evidential is better than the evidential. Plus, the databases, all sides of criminal and civil cases, and the courts and the police form of overt criminal enterprise, private ones, terrorists, even when they're not in the cases, time collusion/s, and uses of it at other locations too. A bunch of people with East Hartford intelligence families involved at Central Connecticut State University, also on off the state of Connecticut, judicial branch offices and corrections offices in Wethersfield, leaking things here. And they have Jewish family members involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, with Fox Connecticut News and the intelligence next to them. People with the name Demain, repeated things sexual about a girl. He sat next to a teacher who's apparently Jewish. I believe it was him repeated or her, or she repeated it, but she repeated sexual things about my neighbor to me, and I never met her. In other words, but that's increasingly getting involved with other people and things that are involved with some police forging and switching names. Also, a bunch of fakes. In other words, they attached me to fake conversations with police as a kid, and now as an adult. These are people involved too. Israel is reportedly filming the World Trade Center right before the attack. I'm not saying that it proves guilt, but they have guilt with WFSB before and after the World Trade Center attack too, with Jewish themed international business. Central Connecticut State University has rolls through time with all kinds of natures of organized crimes, not legitimately where they have the intelligence families, as ones involved with the other campuses, all ages. And these are ones involved with like a Violet family with the Yukon, involved increasingly with the Justice Kovinskis, and involved with leasing agents and people next to body dumping spots. Totally different body dumping spots and totally different reported killers, including a serial killer, that person himself, and names next to the body dumping spots. Increasingly involved with the World Trade Center predicate acts with courts and prosecutors that affected confessions to me. With the FBI involved with them too, I found out, and their roles with depositions, all sides of criminal and civil cases, in the interbranch format, at the same time putting the same sequence ships as Collusions/S, with all natures of crime scenes and campuses. Then they have the audacity to use words like behaviors, let alone crime. In other words, let alone them together. Guys, they can't afford to have what's actually recorded. They already painted themselves in corners with everything that came before them since they were kids. Because you guys came through 6 campuses A through Z. Here, Anthony. Now let's focus on the predicate acts and stop faking and changing what people say. Whiting forensics also has collusion with medical and sexual medical places. I mean, with campuses and with crime scenes and various natures of organized crimes, and with medical and sexual offenders of kids at the same time. A whole bunch of foreign and domestic military families and medical families, like probate court judges too, are sick with the foreign and domestic, with the time collusions with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, identity theft, fraud, slanders, with the same house involved with wire crimes, and with the police falsifying police reports, arrays of falsified police reports with the same arrests, intercities, a bunch of police reports with the same house personally and professionally, a bunch of people tied to them. They know other things were recorded and confirmed on Facebook than they could afford to have discerned. Not one has learned. You guys have audacity at countries A through Z to jump into people's conversations. You can't see you have suits and ties, collusions, and delusions. Because we see it since we are kids. Each side is fake. CT must break with disbelief.